awesome to have you in the studio.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a hot minute since I've been back at Sky, so I'm stoked to get to, obviously chat a little bit of code with this guy, but to chat live with you guys. It's so cool to be here. Thanks for having me.
We're going to bring a whiteboard in.
I don't bring my headgear. So.
Don't worry, I've binned all mine.
The iconic Jiffer shot.
Yeah, right. It's a montage, the opening.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when I was thinking about you and what we're going to talk about, I suppose there's a couple of things that come to mind. Like, larger-than-life personality, you come in the room and you light it up, but you also love rugby. You love rugby. What is your favourite thing about rugby?
What a great opening question.
Yeah.
Do you know what, though? I've been like, I love rugby like my whole career.
Yeah.
And it's been, a minute. It's been a minute since I've been playing. And so I guess as you move on to your career and you get older, you kind of hone in like, but why am I crazy about this? I'm so crazy and there's so many beautiful dynamic parts of the sport that obviously we could jump into and spend hours talking about. Not the scrum at all. But I have come to the conclusion that what I love most about this beautiful thing is, you work so many hours, blood, sweat and tears, early mornings, late nights, and you're like, this has got to get to something or to somewhere. And then you find yourself in a room or on a field next to all these amazing other people that have sacrificed just as much as you have and worked just as hard as you have. You're not best friends with all of them, but you respect the heck out of them. And even cooler, you are all working towards the exact same thing. And it's this purpose that is way bigger than you. And you get to have fun doing it. Like, it's just the most beautiful gift in all of life that I've ever found. That's why I love it. It's so cool.
He has the same passion.
I certainly do. I think I love the game because it's made me a better person. Like, it's grown me as an individual from where I was quite stubborn and fixated as a young man and I knew it all, of course. And then you slowly realise through some experienced people and a lot of great coaches, they teach you a skill set that you didn't have and then, that growth sets you up in terms of life skills, I think. It opens your mind to being always willing to feedback, always willing to get better. And I think that's probably the best thing that I learned because I certainly wasn't that coachable when I was young. I sort of, was very fixed-minded and the beauty of this game is you can't be. You've always got to evolve, otherwise you'll get left behind and not selected.
Yeah. What about on the field? Once the whistle's gone and the game is on, what is the thing you most love about rugby?
Well, we can't say winning, can we?
I do.
Well, you can, because let's face it.
You must love working off the ball because I don't think there's anyone in world rugby that works harder off the ball than you, my mate.
Yeah. No. Smithy and Tony Christie, our current coach, have really been on my back about it. I've learned heaps off Will Jordan. There's ways to do it, and you've got to explore kind of what you can add to it, 100%. But I'd say things that commentators or watchers of our game will use the words effortless or magic or out of nowhere. But as a team, those are actually things that we have spent hours on. We have watched them over and over. We have worked on them. Like Ruby, come off your wing there and you popped in here. It has to be there. But if I do that, it's whoa, look at that heads up play. It's not. It's working together under pressure after hours and hours of hard work and coming together with that. It's amazing.
Yeah, and you've seen that opportunity open up 30 times at training
and didn't take it.
Yeah. When you were in the 2022 team and you'd come from 7s to 15s, and you were doing all this work off the ball and you were playing amazing footy, but you were a real newcomer to the game. Like, how was that for you? You had to learn on the fly, but you seemed to do it pretty well.
Yeah, so, the Black Ferns in women's rugby kind of prior to 2017, I'd say it were like the underground, legendary, you haven't kind of cracked it till you've been a Black Fern. They were the ones who would just, work 80 hours a week, go win a World Cup, come back, nothing happened. They were just like, who are these women? It was kind of like a folk's tale, like the Black Ferns. And so I'd always wanted to be a Black Fern. When I started the Sevens, we were the New Zealand Women's Sevens, and then we were namesake after the Black Ferns. And it was just this, just always had it, back in my mind, I love Sevens so much. I think it was a catalyst to change the game, but man, I want to be a Black Fern. And I didn't know if I'd ever get that chance. And so 2022 was huge for me because I'd been watching. Most of us all started in 15s, had been watching, analysing, still had all my favourite players, still knew the coaches, kind of what was going on. And so it was kind of like, I get a chance. I get a chance to be in it, to get my cap number, to throw everything I've learned, watched, had half a clue about. Well, how well rubes do you really stack up against it? So I was completely focused that year. Nothing was going to get in my way. I knew, very new to the game. I knew I had all these things, but I wasn't going to let any of it get to me. Heck of a year.
If you look at 15s, and I'm sure coming from Sevens, you would have learned a lot in your first year there, but from the outside looking in, if you look at all the Sevens players that have come to the Black Ferns 15 currently or since the last World Cup, it looks like that Sevens game or that work ethic has sort of, sped up the professionalism in the 15s game.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to remember in Sevens we went pro first. So the Sevens program had a good 6-year buffer on what it feels like, looks like, sounds like to be professional every single day. And it's a dream when you're not, but jumping into that space and you're prioritizing busting your gut. It's different to training before and after work. You always tick the box, you always work hard, but when it's your priority to push as hard as you can in the gym until you just about, are stuck under the bar. Very different. It's a very different kind of mindset. So, the Sevens were a crucial catalyst to getting the entirety of women's rugby up, I think internationally as well.
And since then, you've experienced a bit of life. You've played each year, but you experienced a bit of life in between, whereas in the Sevens circuit, I feel like maybe not the same opportunity.
Excuse me. One thing that was a real, really attracted me to 15s was you get to play at home a lot and in front of family and friends a lot. In Sevens, it was really difficult to explain, to your friend who doesn't watch much rugby that in Dubai, which is 4 a.m. here, we play a semi-final against the US and it's a big deal. It was, especially back in the days when it wasn't on Sky yet. So it was hard to explain the feeling and the emotion. 15s, we're playing in Christchurch, we were playing in Whangarei, Auckland. It's just so cool to bring everything that has given me so much back to my to our people. I think it's a huge connection piece to our people. And OPIC, it's gone now, but that's similar. We get a real connection with the people that we are representing, like the people of the whenua that live there now. Like I remember years ago in Sevens doing a coaching clinic in like Abu Dhabi, with all these children, and I'd be like, man, I wish I could do this down at FMG or in Hamilton, and really connect with the people. So in 15s, I think it is this undervalued, underrated opportunity to really get involved with your community.
You see people on TV, and I think when you get that real life presence, and I just think you can always feel when it's a face-to-face, you can read body language, you can feel the care and the passion and I suppose the authenticity of what you're trying to do. And I suppose what you're trying to do is we've all had heroes. There's a reason why we wanted that dream is because we've had heroes and we want to follow in their footstep. And the more we can keep that alive in New Zealand, we can keep punching above our weight worldwide. And it's such I think that school and even, I suppose, the primary school age.
Absolutely.
Although they don't understand it, just having that touch point, locks a memory and they may watch a game. I think, the awesome story about your son has only ever been to a women's female game. So actually thinks he's not too sure if men play the game, but
neither.
Could you say that 10 years ago? I think it's that face-to-face experience really does grow the game, but also grows the next sort of generation.
And I think kids, they really keep you humble too. I'll never forget one time I took my Olympic medal and my friend had asked to go into their kids' school. I took a medal and the kids had, I can't remember what they had, reading time or something, and so I had to wait a bit and I sat on a couch next to another kid and he's like, oh, what's that? And I was like, oh, it's an Olympic medal. Like I just, come into shit. And honestly, like he didn't even let go of his book and he was just like, oh, he's a bit of a show off, ain't you? And they didn't even care, mate. I was like, this is what I came for. Humility lessons on children's era.
Amazing. One of the other things I really enjoy, I suppose, in your lessons on life that we see from Rugby too, is on your social media, you often to quite a large blurb. So I look at the photo, but I'm like, okay, no, but I want to get to I want to get to the drop-down menu to see what she said with the photo. You're quite introspective. You think deeply about things that are passing through other people's lives, and then they read what you had to say and they go, wow. Are you in the books a lot? Or you just think a lot about elements of your life as you go through the day?
Yeah, thank you for spending that time. I really appreciate that. I think, sometimes it's, a little bit scary or daunting being vulnerable online, but social media is a niggly thing, right? I remember when it first came out, everyone said it won't last. It's a waste of everyone's time. It'll never go anywhere. But I remember very clearly understanding that, especially in women's rugby, we didn't have a lot of resources at the time. I remember thinking, this is a free platform to get directly in front of the faces of young girls and boys. How can we not try and create some sort of positive content in this world of misinformation? And so I've always had that cope up. But social media is what it is, but there are times, especially if you build trust within your brand with people that, check in every now and then, that we can actually talk about really important things or things that can add positivity or an impact to someone's lives. So I have lots of passions. Rugby and mental health is definitely one of them. I think it affects us all. And so I always try and it's impossible to be completely real. You're never going to meet somebody through the online. You can't, people talk about being real or fake. I think that's a really dynamic topic, but there are times where you can share something real and it's just your truth in that moment. And, people can kind of say whatever they want to say about it. And so I try and do that as much as possible. Just chuck out a little bit of what I hope will be positive or thought-provoking and long-term positive out there. And I think I meet really cool people. I think I have really cool conversations. I have family members that I talk to a lot that have got me through, really dark times. I also am really grateful for, in our rugby teams, we have access to counsellors, to psychologists, a huge plethora of resources that I know there are people out there that don't have that. I started reading in lockdown. I'm not going to say I'm an avid reader because my friends will come for me. But I do try and read, and I try and just, same as rugby, everything that kind of I get this gift of, I try and just shove it back out there. And I love people in my life that do the same. Because like Jim said, we're all just here to grow. The day we stop growing, we don't need to be here no more. It's just a life of learning and growth. And they're just a couple of my learnings.
Do you think that vulnerability, is probably more important than, winning a match-winning try, because I do feel like the strength of vulnerability is almost saying, you're not robotic, you're an extremely successful person, but as you say, we all have things that get us down, and that vulnerability almost provides permission to the community that it's actually okay to, go seek help or put your hand up and ask for help.
Oh, absolutely. And it is, I think, it's not spoken about enough how hard it is to ask for help when you are struggling so much. And so the more we can normalize it and, you're feeling good, you can still, like, even when I'm doing great, I will still text my psychologist and have a catch up, it's totally okay to do and talk about. And I think, it goes for in work, but especially in rugby teams, it's the moments of people, just going, actually, no, I'm going to speak up about this. Something's not right in the team. I'm going to go to the coach and talk about this. I'm going to approach the leadership group about this. I'm not happy. This isn't working. Those are the frickin' moments that win World Cups, that turn your team around. And so it's not only required for our health and our safety, but it creates excellence, I believe.
The one that I read recently that really got me, because I kind of, as a 42-year-old, made me think, I was like, the one about not making friends as an adult.
Oh, right.
I got to the end. I looked at it and I was like, what have I done today? I've woken up. I've chipped away at one of my jobs while doing my other job. I've looked after my son. I've tried to spend time with my wife, and we've got a kitten. Like, where on earth am I going to find the time to create a new friendship?
Right.
And for people who haven't seen the post, like, 70 hours to make a new friendship. To do that would probably take me 10 years.
Exactly. And when we were 10, it would have taken, not even that long. It would have taken 1 week. One week. Yeah. And now all of a sudden it takes us 10 years. That's huge. We're social beings. There's more things to make us kind of go, introverted rather than extroverted. There's little things like that you think about. You're like, whoa, let's just think about this for a moment. I'm being a bit harsh on myself having one friend, like. So there's just moments like that in life.
For adults to look back at themselves and go like that, I was like, that's a cool post. I enjoyed that because now I'm going to text a friend. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Do something to maintain something or other because. Geez, either I've been lazy.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed lying down on the couch when I get home and doing nothing too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you get that moment.
Yeah, and that was Mel Robbins came out with those stats, and one thing that I read Michelle Obama's book, her latest one, and she talked about this huge concept of remaining open. And I think as a rugby player, especially sometimes we can, I'm on tour and this is my team, I've got to do that, But I've really noticed myself being like, no, I love interactions with the person who makes my coffee. I love saying hi to someone, talking about their kitten. I love that. So, but it actually, as an adult, especially when we're so driven and focused, to kind of take a moment, remain open, because you never know, you might make a new friend.
Yeah, totally. You've got a cat, Manawa?
Manawa.
Yeah. You weren't considering going with Counties Manukau?
I can get a dog.
You can get a dog?
Yeah. Counties Heat. I call them Heat.
Just Heat it, yeah.
So, because you just got a kid in Scotty?
Scotty, yeah. Scotty,
nice.
yeah.
Sleepless nights?
Nuts. You're just there at tap in the middle of the night, or you're going to the toilet, and then suddenly the kid bum rushes the bedroom, and you're like, oh no, now I'm not going to get back to sleep.
And you don't know where it is, and then it just pops out. Oh, jeez. Oh, I love
all sorts of trouble.
I love animals.
Let's talk some rugby. World Cup year coming up. Got Laurie O'Reilly, etc. on the way through. From what you learned from the last World Cup, and it was an exceptional turnaround from the last World Cup in the form of a year, and where you guys want to build on where you were last year, where do you see the key elements of what you want to do in 2025?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. Again, we could probably talk about this for a couple of hours, but I think TC is an amazing coach, and it's really cool because he started at FBC, won with Canterbury, went to Matatu, won Opiki, and he's come into the Black Ferns. He's got fresh ideas. He studies other sports. I think, the things he's been educating us about, it's just super exciting. And like I said, I'm obviously 22 next week, but I'm growing up, and to have somebody in the environment so refreshing and passionate, I think it's crucial.
Where's the biggest opportunity of growth for the team?
You can hopefully cut this up to if I'm blowing smoke up on too much, but I think TC's attack area, it's going to be something new, which, some could be like, oh, it's a bit late to have something new, but hey, it does work. We had even less time last time, so I think, the new ideas, the key is no one in the world has seen them yet.
Yeah.
So, we've been working on a couple of things, and obviously you've got to be smart about what you're releasing. And lots of moving parts, but I think, some of our attack things will be really cool.
You're on the wing a lot, or on that edge defender spot a lot, and especially, I suppose, in the India tour, Black Ferns got caught quite tight and a lot of pressure on the outsides. Has that been spoken about as trying to spread the load across the field so there's not that constant feeling of being on the back foot?
Yeah, absolutely. There's many areas of the field getting wider, and also our exiting, there's times where we love to run in New Zealand, we love to have fun and do really cool stuff, but there are times where we do need to be traditional, and not traditional, but smart, and play a bit smarter. We really want to, give people something cool to watch and stuff like that. But there are times, I think, this year where we will look at the picture. I'll probably have to listen to a little bit more and not try and, So I think, width and also that back 22 exit.
Would you say the biggest, I suppose, execution of a skill would be communication? Yeah,
I think so. Communication, and also, not just communication play by play, but communication of what are we trying to do here with this picture. It happens all the time. As a winger, we see this, we see space back there, and we're calling this. But if the other winger, the fullback, the 10 and the 12 are seeing this, that has to be communicated and understood. It's not a conversation in that moment. It is, this is what we're doing. So, communication 100% would be the word, but so many layers to that.
Right? Well, communication is giving and listening. I'm speaking myself when I say that.
You're going to play like, no, I don't want to.
Active listening is definitely on my growth.
Chip is calling audibles.
My ego is so big, I always wanted to throw to the back just to make.
And opposite wing, eh?
Here I am making about me again.
Oh, yeah. Right. Before we go, this is the last question. We're asking everyone this question. World Cup coming up. The selectors come to you, of course, and ask you to make 3 contributions to the squad. They want you to say a current player, a former player, and a coach that you want to take along with you to the World Cup. Who would you go with?
Former player, I will bring former Blackfern, Lindy Tunu, to really muscle up our breakdowns, our clean outs, and just, she holds real mana about it. Current player, got to take Lou, you know, she's compliments me all the time now. Just her rugby IQ, her calmness as a leader, her direction out there, and I trust what she says on and off the field wholeheartedly. And you can trust those people who don't talk all the time, you know, but when they say something, everyone's listening. Coach, Alan Bunting.
I've not met him. I've only seen him on the television, so I can't say, but he's got a different energy to most other
You should
rugby
get
coaches.
him in on the show because his aura is actually not what people expect, I think. I think they have a thing that they have an expectation of his persona, but you get him in the room and he's, you know, he's quite chill. He's a little, but then he says really cool stuff. We should really get him on.
Yeah, we should. We definitely should. He's
We'll happily get him on if Greece too.
Yeah, actually good luck. In fact, he's got lots going on. He takes surf school. Lots of kids and that. But he's a good coach, and I think women's rugby is quite young in terms of being a professional sport, and he understands campaign footy. Like, it's not just we're trying to win one game here. It's we have 4 years to set this country up for success, you know, in the sport, and it's a long day at the office. But it's how I think too. It's not tomorrow. It's in 4 years on that night. Are we ready to go? You know, so.
awesome. It's been great having you on the show.
Just want to say a special mention to anyone out there supporting women's rugby. It means more than you know.